This is Mike Møller Nielsen from Java Code Geeks, and I'm going to teach you how to write clean, efficient Python code using the Django framework. If you think about writing your own web application, then Django might be the framework for you, because we get a lot of things for free with the Django framework. There's a lot of things that is already built in there and which we can reuse, like the administration module. Complementary to this video, there are related links in the description below. And if you like this video, please take the time to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when we have more stuff coming up. Without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, first of all, what is Django? Let us look at what Django actually says themselves about what Django is. And here we can actually see it. If you go to djangoproject.com, that is the main page. So Django is it's a web framework that has been around for a long time. That means that it's well supported and it's still being maintained. We can see right here that it has had the latest security issue solved the 1st of July 2021. It is ridiculously fast. That's at least what they say, and it's very secure because it has a lot of security modules that can just be used out of the box, and then it's also scalable. That's another good thing about a framework. And in this framework, we have a way to create a model. We have a way to create templates, which means HTML files. And we also have a way to route requests into the correct response, and it's all made in Python. So to get started, first of all, you need Anaconda. You can also use pip, but I would recommend you to use Anaconda just because it is awesome. And in this tutorial right here, I will use Anaconda. And the way to use Anaconda, if you haven't tried it before, is that you go to anaconda.com. Then you find the version that you need for your operating system. If you're using Windows, of course, you download for Windows. If you're using WSL, which is very common and very used right now by Windows developers, the Windows subsystem for Linux, WSL, then you should choose the Linux installer instead, which is down here. And when I say installer, you can actually just download the package and then expand it somewhere where you know it is actually located. After you've done that, then you have access to Anaconda, and the client for Anaconda is Conda. So that means we write Conda no matter what we write, and it's a packaging handling system just like pip. Then another thing we need is an IDE, an integrated development environment, and I'm going to use PyCharm just because it is very good. And you can use the community edition, which is free, or you can use the professional version if you want to. And the difference between those two versions is actually that there's more support for HTML and style sheets in the professional version. And then when you've done that, then you're actually ready to get started with Django. So the first thing you would do is that you would actually find a console on your WSL right here, and then you would go to your project folder wherever you like to create your projects. I have a folder called Mike's project right here, and then the first thing you would like to do is you would actually like to write conda info -else. Like this. Then I can see which environments I already have, and there's a base Anaconda environment which I don't want to use. I want to create a new Anaconda environment for this new project that I'm going to create. So I'm going to write conda create, and then I need the name of my project, and I will call this my Django app. My Django project, like this, my Django project. And then I want to set the Python version, and that could be Python equals to 3.8, for instance. Let us shorten it a little bit. So I'll just name this project my Django, like this. Conda create --name, and then my Django, and then the version of the Python that we want to use. And here it says, okay, if you want that, then you also need all of these packages right here, and then you can just press enter. That's the same as Y for yes. So then now Conda just installed all of that. What it actually did is Conda, it was that it created a new environment that I can activate by just writing Conda activate and then my Django like this. And now I'm actually inside the my Django context. So that means that there's an environment, and I can list all my environments by writing conda info -inf for environment, and then I can see now there's a small asterisk in front of my Django. That means this is the current environment, my Django right now. So now I need to install Django. I've not installed Django yet. I've just created an environment where there's Python 3.8 available. So now I need to install Django, and it's very easy when you know how to. There is something called, if you write conda, then you can say install, conda install, and then I write -c for channel, and then I need to say that I want this package from the conda forge. There are different channels, there are different places to get packages. If you don't write -c anything, then you will get from the default place, and then you'll end up with Django version 2. But we want Django 3 for this demonstration right here, and we want the latest and greatest. So we write -c conda forge, where there's a lot of packages. So then we write install, and then we write Django like this. And here you can see that I will get Django version 3.2.5, which is right here. And that is fine. So I just press enter again, or I can also press Y and then enter. And then I get, and then Django is installed. So it's very, very easy to install Django when using conda. So now we have installed Django. So the next thing I want to do is I want to create a new project. There are two concepts that we need to know about when we are talking about Django. There's a project, that is the whole project that we are developing, and then our apps. Apps are just looked upon as part of our project, or part of our application. So it means that we can have an app that actually that is actually part of the application. Like that could be we can have a part that is called Pulse, and then we can have another part of the app where we have something totally different, like a shopping basket, or that could be a whole other app. So it's different areas of your application. It's different context, if you will, inside your application, but it's all wrapped inside something called a project. So an app is a part of your application. The project is your whole project. So what do I want to do right now? First I write Django admin, and then I just write version, just to check the version. And that also verifies that I have Django installed inside this environment right here. So the next thing I want to create a new project, and then I just write start project, and then I like to name my project the same as my conda environment. So if I want project named my Django, then I would name my conda environment also my Django, because then I know which environment is used with which application. So here I say start project like this, my Django, and it was quite fast. Then I got a new directory called my Django, and we actually already have some files in there. We also have a directory called my Django inside the my Django project. Now I want to start up my my PyCharm. So I've already installed PyCharm. And I've also prepared it, but I want to open up this new project right here, and I'll navigate to my. If you use WSL, then this is not unusual for you that you have this WSL $ in the top. It is very used it's used a lot by Windows developers. Here we have my Django right here. So then in PyCharm, I navigate to my Django, the folder we just created, the project we just created, and then I press OK to open it up. And then I want to open it up in a new window. So the first thing we actually get here in the bottom is we get a small notification that we do not have an interpreter installed. We don't have an interpreter. Yeah, we have an interpreter installed, but we have not any interpreter for this project right here. And PyCharm is totally right. We have not said that we are using WSL. It could just be that we wanted to use Python for Windows, but we do not want to do that. We want to use the Conda environment that we just set up where we have Django installed in. So I want to configure my Python interpreter. I can do two things. I can press interpreter settings right here. You can also press Control Alt and S. Then you also come to the settings, and then you can search. Let's say that I was not there. Then I could search for interpreter just by writing interpreter like this, and then I would end up in Python interpreter right here, as we see right here. I want to create a new interpreter by pressing Add. And I am not going to choose Conda because I'm using WSL. If you're using Windows, you can just choose Conda environment. But if you're using WSL, then that has higher, that is more important. That is higher ranked than the Conda environment. So then you would choose WSL, and then you will go find your Conda environment wherever you have installed your Anaconda 3 application. So let us just go to. I know I've placed mine on the home. And then in my home folder, so let us just, it is refreshing right now, so it will open up in just a minute. Home. Here it is, MMNI, that's my initials. And then I have an app folder, right? Apps right there. Oh, actually Anaconda 3, that is. So I have Anaconda 3 right here, and in there I have an envs for environments. And here I have a lot of environments, and the environment that we created right now was my Django. So then I'll find the Python interpreter inside that folder. Python right there. I'll press OK. OK again. And now I have my interpreter set up, and I have the packages that I want to install, that I've installed with the Conda. And in this situation right here, it's actually just Django that we have installed plus Python 3.8. Now let us look at, now we have a lot of files actually. So we have a lot of files right here. Let us look at which files that we got created by default. We have an init file. That just means that this will be handled Python-wise as a package. So that means this is a package. Here we have this file right here, and that is for a configuration. And we have some environment settings right here. Then we have the settings.py. Here we have some more interesting things, because here we have the apps. You can see installed apps. And again, an app is just an area or a contained part of your application. And there are a lot of default and standard apps that comes with Django. And you just see them as modules. And one of the modules that we're going to use today, which is very, very useful, is the administration client. We actually get an administration client out of the box, which means that we can actually create and delete objects as soon as we create these. And do we have something else we want to mention right here? Yeah, we want to mention the databases right here. This is also important. Per default, we are using SQLite 3. In a production environment, you want to change this engine to Postgres or MySQL or whatever your database preference is, but you want to change the section around the databases. For now, it is perfect for us that we just use SQLite 3, but that means that I will get as soon as we start the server for the first time, then we'll actually get a file. We will get a database file where we'll have all our data in it. Then we have something called URLs, and URLs, this is where all the routing happens down here under URL patterns right there. Then we will have then we have all the paths. Right now we have a path named admin, and then we point that to the admin side URLs right here. That means we are forwarding the handling for that to URLs inside the admin app. We will add more to this in just a minute. Then we have WSGI, and again here we have some settings for the environment. Then we have manage.py. We are going to use this a lot because from now on, as soon as you have created your project, then you would not use the Django admin anymore, then you will actually call manage.py instead, because what actually happens is that the settings will actually be applied. So that means that we will have the correct settings along with all the admin tasks that we can actually call from the terminal. And let us just for fun, let us just write Django admin and then enter without saying anything. Then here we can actually see we have a lot of options right here. We have start app, we have start project, and we have run server. So we can actually also run server with the Django admin utility. But now now that we have manage.py, then of course, if we want to run the server, then we write Python manage.py, and then we write run server like this. And now the port is already in use because I'll just stop that. Just 1 minute right here. So the port was already in use. Let me just check that now. I just stopped the application that was running on that port. So now it is actually running on port 8000 right there. And then it means that I can actually go to a browser if I want to. And then I can say, go to a browser, and then I can match that URL right there. And here we can see the install works successfully. Congratulations. You see this page because debug is true in your settings files, and you have not configured any URLs. So as soon as we start on building on this application, this page will disappear. Or if we set debug to false. So that means that we actually already have a Django application up and running, but of course we have not added anything yet. So let us go back out to the terminal right here. I could leave this server running, and then I could just do all my changes, and then the server would actually refresh automatically. But what I want to do is I want to create a whole new app. So I'm going to stop the server right here. I want to create a new area inside our application called Pulse. And this part actually follows the official Django tutorial, which is also named Pulse. So what I do is I say Python manage.py, and then I would say start app, and then Pulse like this. And now I've created a new. Now there's a new folder called that's called Pulse right there. Let us go look at it in the PyCharm application. And here right now I can see I actually got a new Pulse app right here. I have some of the same files, and admin.py right here. Here I can register my models. Okay, thank you very much for that. We will come back to that very soon. Then I have my apps.py right here. I have a models file. I have my tests right here. And then I have my views right here. So I can create my views right here. And when we say views, it does not have to be HTML views. It could also just be response that maybe want to create a REST backend, and then you don't want to use the template part of Django because maybe you have a Vue front end, or you could have a Angular or React front end, and then you would just return REST instead of return JSON instead of HTML. So let us start with the models. So we want to start with a model. And what do we have right here? I am going to copy some code right here that I prepared. Here we have the question. We have a question class and we have a choice class, and both of these will actually be created as tables. And then we have some fields. We have a question text. We have a publication date for this question. And these there are some restrictions that we have a maximum length of 200 to the question text right there. Or else that's actually it. Then we have some functions or some methods on the class itself. And that is, for instance, was published recently. And then we have a toString representation right here, which makes a nicer toString representation than the default one that we have. Then we have a choice model right here. So we have a choice model, which is right here. That means that we have a question. It points to a question. Then there's a text. And then there's a number of votes for this specific choice. And again, we have overwritten the toString or the string representation, so it will look nice when we if we print it out in the console. And in this situation right here, I use the choice text as my string function, string method. So now that we have a model, first of all, you can see right here that we got the db.sqlite 3. That means that we actually have a database that was created, which is really, really good. But we need to do something else now, because now we created a model. And now we need to create a migration of this data right here. And we will do that out on the in the terminal. So first we need to register by the administration. We need to register our model. Let us start with that actually. So right here, register models right here. Then we have admin register the question, just right here. I want to import it, yes, and I want to duplicate this line right here. I also want to register the choice, just right here, and I can import the name like this. So now I've registered to the administration module, and I've told my administration module that I have a class named question and I have a class named choice, which I want to use later on. Before we continue, we need to actually create the tables behind the model that we have right here. So we need to create a table for question, and we also need to create a table for the choice class right here, and that is done with the manage.py file. And it's usually done in a terminal. It's much easier there. So we need to make something called migrations, because each time we change the model, then we create a new migration, and thereby our database can then keep up with what needs to be done for each time we change this our model. So let us just look at that. So we go out in a terminal, and then we say Python manage.py. And then we call make migrations. Python manage py, make migrations. And what happened here now? We can see we got a new file under pulse migrations 0001 underscore initial.py. Let us just go look at that. So we actually have a new file here under migrations now. This one right here, and there are some operations right here. Create a model. This is all specific to the SQLite right here, and create model, and etc. 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 If you are dealing with the SQL, you can also create the SQL that is needed to do the migration. Right now, we have these operations right here, and when we call migrate, then all of these operations will be applied to our SQLite database if needed, and we can have many of these. Migrations every time we change the model. Then we can call make migrations, and then we will get a new thing that needs to be called on our database for it to be up to date with and in sync with our model. So let us go back to the terminal right here. I will now call migrate like this, migrate. And here we can see that a lot of things actually happened. Two things that actually should happen was that we should actually get our question and our choice table created. Let us just run it again. Then we can see the second time we run it, then there are no migrations to apply. So this is this is just as we want to. Let us now just start the application, because I have already copied in some templates. I've copied in some HTML files. I've set up a URL specific path right here. So that means that then I can call my detailed view, I can call my results view, and I can also call my vote view by doing this. In my views.py file, here I have all of my views, and as you can see right here, this is actually just a function that returns a response. So I have a request that I get as input parameter, and then I return something and I render something as a response. And here, instead of rendering anything, then I can actually just choose to return JSON, of course, and then I would just have a backend and not a fully templated system with both a client and a backend in the same framework. I have my detail function right here. Here I have a detail function here, and here I have a function called getObject or for. That means that if I cannot find that question, that specific question with this ID in my database, then I would give a for message, a standard for HTML page instead, and then I will render that afterwards right here. So that means that I do not need to create a for. For means not found. That's a HTTP status code for not found. It is actually a part of the Django framework. And the same here with results, get objects or for. So that means that if the question does not exist in the database, maybe it has been deleted while actually asking for the results for this question, then show a for to the end user, to the browser, to the person that actually that wants to see the results. Then we have vote, where we can actually do some voting. We will get the questions we will get the question first, and then we will actually have the choices available right here. These are the choices. And then if everything is okay, then we will actually add one vote. We will add one vote to the choice, and then we will save that into the database right there. And here we have a response redirect. That means that we are actually redirecting to another URL. We are redirecting to the pulse results instead of the vote view. Then we'll go to the pulse result view instead. So that means after voting, we go to the result view. Now let us start our application and see if it actually works. On our main page, we should in a pulse main page we should see some. We are seeing this right now. I'll just show right here. We should actually see all of the questions that we can actually create. We can set choices to these fruits that we see here as a background. Those are just ones that I put in just to show you how the style sheets and how the HTML actually works together with the static folder. So here we have the static folder right here, and here again we are namespacing everything with a folder named Pulse. So that means that even though we are inside the Pulse app right here, then we are still namespacing it with Pulse right here on the statics, and that is because of the way that Django looks for statics. Then we need to namespace all of our images, so we don't suddenly get an image from another app. Maybe we could get it from the main My Django app instead. And one way to solve this is by namespacing it with the same app name as we actually have our whole app inside. Here we have some images. I have my melon right here, and then I have a style.css right here, where I have said that I want a green color to all list elements, and I want an XX large font, and here's the background. Here's my images melons, and I want to repeat those melons that I have right there. So that is how we can apply style sheets to our HTML, and the way that we actually load it is by using the load static template right here. And this is a template. As you can see, it's actually HTML, where we can mix in variables, and we can also call functions from the Django framework. And this is how to keep the URLs dynamic by using static like this, and then pulse, and then style.css. Here we have a conditional statement right here. If latest question list, that means that if we have some questions in the list, then we continue here, and then we loop through each question. Or else then we will just show the text, no polls are available down here. So that is our template. It is it's very easy to create templates this way, but also with the conditions inside it, and we can use the variables that we are supplying with within the view the latest question list. Let us just go look in the view to see if we can find something that matches that for the index. So here we have the index, here we have the latest question list, and that is exactly what we got right here. The way that we can actually get objects inside our model is actually just by calling the class and then call objects, and then we can order by. We can also just get them all with the all function, etc., etc. There's a lot of ways to actually select these to select these objects in the database. Now, we did not have any questions inside our database, and that is of course a shame. There's actually multiple ways that we can add these questions. One way is through the administration. It's through the administration module, and that is what I'm going to show you right now. Here we have our application, and instead of polls, let us try to write. I'll put this in another tab. We have it right here. Then I'll write admin instead. And now my problem is that I need to supply a username and a password, and we have not created any username. We do not have any super user, as it's called, yet. We need to instantiate that first, and the way we do that is with the it's out in a terminal again. So then here we can actually call the here we can create the super user, and we do that by using the manage.py file again. So I will call Python manage.py like this. Then I'll call create super user like this. Python manage create. And here, if I leave it blank, then I will get my default Linux user as the super user. I want to have a super user called admin, so I'll write admin instead. Email address something something something. That is actually not valid at blah blah blah.com. Then we need a password, and this password I'm going to type in 1234 and 1234. And this password, this is too short, and it's also too common, and it's entirely numeric. So there's a lot of things wrong with this password. We can actually bypass the password validation and create the user anyway by pressing Y, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here right now. Because now we have a super user named admin, and the password is 1234. So let us go to the administration right here. So I'll write admin as username, then 1234 as password. Then I'll log in. And here we can see something awesome. We have inside our Pulse app, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Inside our Pulse app, we actually have our model classes right here. We have choices and we have questions. So it means that I can actually create a new choice very easily, and I can actually maintain my choices and also my questions. I can handle all of this inside the administration module, and this saves a lot of time because you don't have to code this yourself. You can actually, you can handle your data model as you want right here. So first we have a new question that we are creating. The choice. That is the choice. Let me just cancel it. I want to create a question first, actually. Question. And see, we can see here right now we have 0 questions. Add question. Yes, I'll add the question. Which color is the moon? Of course, it should be something. This is in this demo here is actually meant for something with an opinion. It could be political questions. It could be whatever kind of polls that you want. And here we have the date for when it is published. I just want to choose today, and the time could just be now. You are 2 hours ahead of server time. Yeah, that's fine. What color is the moon? That is one question. I want to create another question. Which kind of footwear is the best? Is it sandals? Is it sneakers? Whatever is it? That is a good question, right? Let us create a poll for that. So now we have the polls. Now we have the questions. Now let us look at the choices. So I'll go and add some choices also in here. First I can choose my question. And this is why it was important that we actually created our own toString representation, because else we would just see the ID and some weird stuff right here. Now we actually see the question itself when we look in this drop-down box right here, because it is the toString function that is being used right now. What color is the moon? And one choice could be yellow. And there's 0 votes for that right now. Yes, that's correct. Let us create another choice. Another choice for the what color is the moon could be blue, or something like that. Save, and Yeah, that's fine. Let us go back to, let us create some more choices for the other question. What kind of footwear is the best? Sandals. And we create another choice. What kind of footwear is the best? And here we say sneakers. Which kind of footwear is the best? We have something called flip-flops. Flip-flops is a kind of a plastic shoe, a rubber shoe. That can also be used at the beach. So we will just add flip-flops right there. So, yeah, so now we have some questions. We have some choices. Now let us try to go to our Pulse application right here. We will refresh it. And here I can see which I have my questions right here. Which kind of footwear is the best? I'll press that first, then I can choose sandals if I like that. Let us choose flip-flops. First, vote. Then we can see we have one vote on the flip-flops. Vote again. Yes, please. Sandals. Yes. Then now sandals also got a vote. And we can continue like this, of course. And we can place votes on all of our questions. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And of course, we can do the same with the second question. Which color is the moon? And let us just keep it to yellow right there. And that is the color of the moon. So, yeah, so that's that. Let us now look at what else could we do instead of using the administration module. Could we have done something else? Yes, there is actually a shell. We could have used a shell instead. And that is exactly what I'm going to do right now. So if I run Python manage.py and then shell like this, then I end up in a Python shell, and in here I can then I can write any kind of code I want to, of course. And in my situation right here, I want to write the I want to create a question by hand, and the way to do that is that first we need to import the question. So I will just copy paste that. So we need to import the model, of course, and say from the model. Have it right here. From pulse.model, import choice and question like this. That means that now I can actually use question and choice because they are known by Python, by the Python shell. And then I can say objects like this. That means that then I get all objects, and then I can also say all. That will give me a list of all of the questions right here. And here we can see we have a query set, and we have the string representation, of each object in the database right now. So, but now I would like to add a new question. So I'll say my queue for my question, and then I will say new question. I'll instantiate a new one. Question underscore text, and that could then be what is fun? Like this, and then I could actually have a pop date, and that could be time zone now. Like this. So now I'm creating a new question. And time zone is not defined, so of course we need to define the time zone first, and I forgot that. I'll just copy that right there. So here we have from Django utils import time zone. So here I imported it, and I'll create my question again. Here's my question, and now I need to save it. Of course, I can also change this. I can change the fields of this of my question if I want to, but right now I just want to save my question right here. So now I've saved my question. Of course, I could also create choices to this question if I wanted to. This way, this is a programmatical way in a shell. Of course, I could also create a small Python script where I wrote this instead. And then, of course, it will give me a better overview. And I would then definitely remember to import my time zone, for instance, or else PyCharm would then help me to do that. So let us just go back right here. I actually want to go to the administration module, to my administration module, which is right there. And then I want to refresh my administration module, and I want to go to questions. Here we can see now I have the question, what is fun? So that means that it is actually persisted. Of course, there is no choices to what is fun, but I can then into the administration module, which is much easier, then determine what is fun. Maybe soccer is fun. I'll add that. Can add another choice. What is fun? ice cream is also fun, right? So then I'll also add ice cream. And again, now I can go to my real application, and then I can go to Pulse, the index page, and then we can see here what is fun, and then I can choose soccer, and I can vote for that, of course. Let us look a little bit more at the code. First of all, we have the detail view right here. The detail view right here, it actually gives us a question right here. So we set a variable question to question right there, and we render that into this pulse detail.html file. And let us look at that right here. Here we're using a form, and we are generating a URL. And the reason why we do it this way is because then if we one day change the URL for pulse vote, then it will automatically be updated inside the HTML that is being returned, because the way that Django works with this templating system is that it will generate the HTML fully, and then it will return it to the client, to the browser. So this is how a templating system actually works in general. So here we have the URL pulse vote. So this is the URL that needs to be generated. And here we have the question ID. So that is the ID that we actually give to this to this URL right here. And if we go to and look at pulse vote on the URLs, then we can see that we have here we actually have an ID. So that means that that's actually part of the path. And this is called a path variable. So that means that we have the ID and then vote, and then we can vote for that. Then we can vote for that question. So that was the first part, and this form right here, it posts data to the backend, and then we have this cross request forgery token that actually helps us with security to make sure that we actually send the data to the correct backend. Then we have the question and question.text right here. So that is the text. There's a question, and the text that from the question that we want to extract. And that is done very easily by having two curly brackets, and then we have the variable inside here. So you can actually write HTML. So all your HTML and style sheet skills can still be used with the templating system, and then you can add the templating system on top of this right here. Then we have, if there's an error, then we show the error, and I can also try to trigger we'll try to trigger the not found as the last thing in just a minute. Then we have a loop right here for choice in all of the choices right here, choice set.all. So this means that we jump from the question and we go to the choice set, and then we go to each choice. For each choice, we are creating a radio button. That is the one that we saw. Here. So those are radio button right there. Input type radio, and here we have the choice, and here we have for loop, and then we have the counter. And then we have a label which says again choice, and then the counter right there, and then we take the text for that. So this is the text that is being shown, and this is so we know where the this is so we know where we are in the label, and which piece of data that we are actually using right here. Yeah, this is actually a counter. So this is just to have a counter on the label, and here we have the value of the input radio button, and this is what is being sent. This value is what is being sent to the backend when we press on submit down here, and here we have the value vote, and we have the type submit, and then when we press that button, then we will go to the URL for the pulse vote, and then we will use that question ID, and we will post the data that we have inside of our form. It will automatically be or sent along. And then when we can try to go to the votes. Let's try to go to the vote view right here. It's right here. See here we actually get the question. That's right there. And here we can find the selected choice right here. So here we get a question right here. And we get the selected choice by taking this post data right here. So we go to our request, then we find the post data, the data that was posted, and then this is a map of all of the posted data, and we only have the choice key right here that we use right here, and then that is the selected choice. Here we also get an error message if the choice was not, if there was no choice at all. Now let's try to trigger the 44 not found page. That means right here we have Paul3. We can actually change now I'm going to change the URL to 6 instead. And there is no question matches the given query. And that is because, of course, I'm trying to look for a question that does not exist, and then we get this 404 error right there. Awesome. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then make sure that you smash the like button and hit the notification bell and subscribe, because we have a lot of cool things coming up. Bye.